Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brad and I are doing our top 20 anticipated games of 2025 because we don't have enough games on our shelf of shame to play from 10 years ago. Yeah, so it's always fun to do these lists, and we try to do them as quickly as possible just because there's not much, like there might not be a lot of content that's out for these, uh, so yeah, this list, at least for me, primarily includes. Actually, I don't think there are any expansions.
No, I don't think mine is
Actually,
expansions
no, there
either.
aren't. In my like extended list, there was some expansions, maybe standalone technically.
Yeah, I have a couple that are standalone, but yeah.
Um, but yeah, 2025 is shaping up to be a super solid year, I think. And in fact, not most of mine, but quite a few, quite a bit of mine are actually gearing up to be early next year.
Yeah, I have some that are like it's gonna be like right.
Like they're basically almost about to be delivered, but it's like, yeah, you're not making it.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the honorable mention, my number 21. That is an extremely interesting game. It's based around like the Cthulhu mythos, but it has a train. Like, so if you don't think I have autism, now you do because it's a train game called Get it, get it,
Come
get it,
on, come
get it,
on.
get it. Hit it! Oh my God, Brad, you are dropping the.
There
We're
you
on the Orient Express.
go.
Which is designed by Adam Kwapinski, who I believe is one of the main designers around a lot of Awakened Realms games. Um, I know he's a Polish design. Yeah, Nemesis. Let's see, Frostpunk. I think he did this War of Mine as well. But this one looks extremely interesting. One, because it is. I love the designer and a lot of stuff that he does. And it's a unique Cthulhu game. It's not like your standard ones where you're trying to just stop an old one from awakening, like pretty much every single like Eldritch Horror or Cthulhu Death May Die, those kinds of things. You're basically on this train that's being attacked by creatures that you're having to protect various carts, and there are some people on the train that you're trying to deduce whether or not they're a regular passenger or whether they're a cultist. Um, it it just looks super unique. I'm all for like board games that have like a 3D element to it, and this train here that you can see is it just looks like it would have awesome table presence. So I don't really know much else on it, except that it's a Cthulhu train game. So that's my honorable mention.
Yeah, that looks pretty interesting. Yeah, I like it how it looks like the timer of the game, like that train at the bottom of that board. It looks like it
Yeah,
fits
I
along
think
those recessed deals and kind of.
yeah. And like I know the like those windows on the carts, I know those slide because having the windows open and closed matters in the game. I have seen a demo of this. In fact, quite a bit of these I've seen playthroughs of. So, which definitely helps nowadays
Yes.
in backing a lot of games. If it's nice that a lot of companies are sending out prototypes to at least the people that I watch, which at this point is almost like it's Paul Grogan and the One Stop Co-op Shop. Those are like the two guys I watch
Yeah.
now. I have drastically changed in my style of who I watch playthroughs for. Dice Tower every now and again. Rado almost never.
Yeah.
Who
He's
else
too
is there?
ADHD.
Yeah, yeah. Which in my younger days, those I was like, I mean, he's still great for a lot of people. And Shut Up and Sit Down is never. I don't watch them.
No, I don't either. All right. So my number 21 is one that I put on this list because I really like this is the third game in a trilogy of games. And this one I really enjoy the first one. I haven't played the second one yet. It came out to retail not that long ago. There isn't a whole lot of information about this one, so I don't have a gameplay pick of this because there is none. But it is AR, as I believe how you say it. This is the
it's I don't know. I don't know
yeah.
how it's
So
pronounced.
it's AR Children of the Sun, and this one is in that trilogy because there was Merv,
Mm-hmm.
Journey of the Silk Road was the first one. And then there was the one that's out right now that I'm going to be ordering is Sankore, the Pride of Mansa Musa,
Yeah.
and it's all got this same tool art. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I love the art cover.
Yeah, and if they're anything like Merv, because Merv is really good, because they're that mid-weight Euro, mid to a little bit higher than mid-weight Euros,
Mm-hmm.
with interesting decisions and everything. It's just Fabio Lopiano, I think is how you say it. He's does a lot of those, and I think he's done a lot of other kind of Euro games as well. But this throw that in with Osprey Games and their
Yeah.
good quality
Have
productions
you
and stuff.
played Merv? Does Merv have a solo?
It does.
Okay,
Yes,
have you tried it?
I have. It's not. I mean, it's fine. It's
Okay.
good.
I just
I
assume
my
Osprey Games is like
yeah,
they make solo games multiplayer, you know. They
yeah.
reverse it because a lot of their games are like this kind of sucks ass multiplayer.
This one, I mean, it's good both ways. But it's I think Merv was always funner with at least two because of your decisions you're making when you're doing that grid stuff.
Yeah.
It's but so I like I said, I have no idea what this looks like um as far as board presence. So I just know it's coming out this year, and I will probably get it because I'm actually going to be ordering some Core later today.
Yeah. I think
And
this might be my favorite cover. I'm just taking a look. They're very similar. Sankore is also really good.
mhm. Well, this one, like the theme of this one is you are taking control of a clan, one of the first clans, and you're journeying with the AR across the Andes mountains, so
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff like that. So it's just going to be kind of like a traveling kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm just kind of a sucker. I've over the years I've changed a lot. I used to be all in on the Ameritrash dice
Hmm.
chucking stuff, and now the midweight Euros kind of almost one of my favorite things. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
kind of, I mean, I went in that wave of like only Ameritrash as well,
mm-hmm.
and then went hard into heavy Euros, and
Right.
now I'm like, I don't want to touch heavy Euros anymore. Now it's all thematic
It,
campaign games, but they've merged a lot more in recent times versus
yeah, those heavy Euros, man, they're fun after you learn them, but then if you don't keep playing them, you have to relearn it every single time you play it,
yeah,
and it just takes time.
yeah. All right, well, I'd say good pick, but I haven't played Merv, so I
We
don't
need to
know.
try it sometime. It's a good one.
I'm down. I am down. Also, real quick, I do have a caveat because there was a game I forgot to add to my list,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, your daughter was already making the PowerPoint and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to bother her.
Yeah.
One that would definitely be in my top 20 for sure. So probably kicking off horror, or maybe it might have finagled the listing or the ranking in some way. Is Aridia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because the One Stop Co-op Shop, Mike did a playthrough of it, and maybe I just forgot because it was like close to shipping or something. And yeah, it's Aridia the Paths We Dare Tread. I specifically wanted to mention this because after watching the playthrough of it, it looks incredibly unique, doing some cool stuff within the campaign, um, the fantasy campaign genre.
Right.
So very excited for that one. That would be on this list, but I forgot about it. So instead, we have to talk about my number 20. This is probably going to be a running theme for quite a few of my list here, and so my number 20 is Blood by Ludus Magnus Studios, the same company that did the only game I care about, Black Rose Wars. But they've done Nova Atis, I think
Yes.
Cine Tempore, and were they the same company that did? No, they were not. I was gonna say the game I sold to you.
Black
Um,
Rose is their biggest one by
yeah, that's the
far.
one that definitely
Yeah.
kind of puts them on the map. But the genre that this game is a boss battler, which I remember I'm not going to go out and say that I predicted this genre was going to be becoming popular, but I definitely said it at some point, that KDM was the forefront, and then you had ATO, but then a lot of games started coming out as boss battlers. But this is a vampire themed boss battler that it says you will control a group of unusual monster hunters, each featuring their own customizable set of cards. Um, each raid will bring you face to face with one of Vlad's champions. I don't know if this is a campaign. I wouldn't be upset if it wasn't. I don't mind, boss battlers that are one-offs like Townsfolk Tussle or Leviathan Wilds, where you just kind of pick a boss to go out and fight. And lately, we're at least in 2025, we're starting to see some boss battlers that are more they're standalone, isolated incidents, but you kind of explore and you gather stuff as you're gearing up for the boss fight versus just boom, you're at the fight.
Right.
So not quite sure if that's what this is going to be, but I love vampires in mythology. I hate them in movies. Every vampire movie is so cringe. Like there's like and then when you think about vampires and how they have to act and portray themselves in film, it's so stupid. Werewolves are so much cooler on the big screen. But yeah, it's unless it's Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is very, very good. But yeah, so I'm very excited for this. The publisher, Ludus Magnus Studios, kind of has me worried, but I do love me some Black Rose Wars. Everything else of theirs is kind of a miss. At least the ones I've played.
It kind of has a Black Rose look a little bit with those large hex tiles
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff,
true. It says it has
So,
an innovative dice system, a dice and card system, so that allow you to face the horrors of Vlad's castle until you reach its powerful master. So we shall see, but that is my number 20, Blood.
the one thing I didn't back this one. I thought about it a lot. I love the minis, how they infuse that blood, the red stuff on the minis and stuff. A
That
lot of them.
is
It's pretty
super
neat.
sexy. Yeah, that the one down at the bottom right, that spider with
Yeah.
like the blood in like its sack. That is pretty sexy. I haven't seen like color infused inside the plastic. Like
Yeah.
normally it's like next to it or it's
Yeah.
surrounding it or something. So
Yeah.
that big, I mean, big if true if these come out looking as good as they do in the picture.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll definitely play it if you or when you get it. My number 20 is a game that I missed out on the campaign back when it happened because it's a first time company, I believe. But I've played the video game. It's based on a video game that is almost like a video board game. So it fits perfectly as it transitions into the board game form.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it is Armello, the board game.
I have no idea what this is.
Well, this is something that me and the guys, like the Chads and everybody, play, and pretty much what it is it's you're a race of creatures, whether you're wolves, rabbits, there's all these different creatures that you are, but it's like a part deck builder, part dice chucker. So each character you pick has its own deck. And the theme of it is that the king of Armello has fallen sick with this stuff called rot. And the rot is kind of the taint of the land. It's kind of is darkening the land and turning it evil and stuff. And your job is you move around the board. There's like part area control. You're taking parts different deal, doing on the little side missions. You're gaining prestige. And so the game can end in two different ways. You can get a regicide victory, which is if you earn 30 points and then enter the palace and slay the king. Or you just went straight up if you get 70 prestige, and that's called a proclamation victory.
Okay.
But it's really cool. The video game was always something that we played a lot because it was animated, had like cool dice rolling deals. The battles were neat.
And it's competitive?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're trying to because you want to be like because whoever wins that character is supposed to be like the new king then, so like
Gotcha.
But so you can kind of screw your other people too, and do different stuff. Um, the video game though is the reason I was hesitant on this was for two reasons. Video games to board games, a lot of times it's tricky.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't back Slay the Spire when it came out, but then I've heard that that's good and stuff like that. Plus, this is kind of set up to be a board game. You just play it
Hmm.
video
I
wise.
found that video games that are already board game adjacent obviously translate well back
Mhm.
to a board game.
Yeah,
That looks good.
yeah. It looks really neat, and like I said, that the video game is just top notch. It's got so many races and stuff now, and that I kind of kick myself for not backing this. I actually tried to contact the um, designers through the Kickstarter page. I sent a message like months ago, being like, "Hey, is there any way to get it on this still or whatever?" And I never did get a response. So
Interesting.
we'll see what if it even
You can
happens or
pre-order it off their page.
sweet. Okay, how much is it?
So that's a good question.
Okay, I mean, if you have it right there,
109 for the collector's edition.
that's not bad. I might have to do
Right.
that. But yeah, it's a fun one, and I can just imagine if they make it a lot like the video game, which it obviously looks like it. I mean, the train and everything looks the same.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's my number 20, Armello, the board game.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, I'd be interested to try this out if you do end up getting a copy.
Mm-hmm.
My number 19, I am curious. One, I'm curious at how many crossovers we're going to have. I honestly think we'll only have two, maybe three, maybe four. Actually,
Let
I'm
me
looking a little
look
bit.
here. I can think one,
I know for sure one.
2, 3, 4, 5,
Six, seven,
6,
8, 9, 10, 15. Our whole list.
7.
My number 19 is Armello, the board game. I'm a huge
I'm
fan.
thinking at least 7.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Just a guess.
Um,
Because a lot of mine
well,
are campaigns that we both were interested in. So
that's true. Well, my number 19 may or may not be one. This is the most ambitious game this company I think has done, and I am extremely intrigued, but this was the most complicated, fucked up pledge manager I have ever seen. They had to send out like 10 emails to explain how to do your pledge manager because it was nonsense, and that is Spirit Fire,
interesting.
the living board game by Orange Nebula, which Orange Nebula has done Vindication and um, uns Unsettled,
Unsettled. Yeah.
and their other Vindication mini game that they went on.
Vestige.
Yeah, I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Um, so this one is touted as a non-linear open world game that's based around high exploration of discovery, wonder, and mystery, where the choices you make kind of just exist and live on throughout the game as you just keep playing. Now, it's they say it's a substantive, emotionally driven experience with aspirations beyond the expected iterations of tactical combat standard gameplay. It looks wild because you go through like different portals to different worlds, but you have your own deck and your own cards that you had to like it was so wild. You had to get like you have to choose your colored deck and deck box and sleeves, but you had to like order the game and then order yourself like your own cards. It was just wild of a of a pledge manager. Um that I'm hoping I got everything
You think they've just
because
put one that was just like, here's everything. You do
you
this
would
one.
think, yeah, for some reason they just didn't do that because it's technically it says one player, like it's a solo game, and it's designed specifically as a solo game, but you can play with other people. Like you would have to get your own solo copy. From my understanding, you would have to get your own solo copy, and then it's almost like a Elden Ring co-op thing where like you have to like port over to my game and then we can like do a seventh continent exploration style
Interesting.
but in my game nothing you do matters
Right.
but you get to play with me but you have to have your own it was weird um but Yeah, with the drop in, drop out multiplayer, meaning seamless transitions between solo and co-op play. You're in a never solo aloner, multiple open world realms. So I'm very intrigued. The world looks completely unique, unsettled, not unsettled. Orange Nebula has been mainly hit for me. I mean, Vindication and Unsettled, which I ended up buying back Unsettled because I liked the game enough to get it again. But yeah, this has elements of kind of like the Vindication style. I'm intrigued on the story. The only thing that kind of makes me slightly nervous is that open world system. Um, because we've seen that in a few games that they say they're like cozy. Oh, cozy, never ending open world games. And it's like, okay, yeah, I kind of want my games to end. I don't have the time or the attention to just play a game forever. So, especially with how many campaign games I have.
Yeah, I looked at this one a lot when it was on crowdfunding because, solo, stuff like that.
Yeah,
But it just could not pull me in. Like, I don't know
yeah,
what it was, if it was just because we had that discussion several months ago and when it was on and you were asking me if I was going to back it. And it just wasn't grabbing me for one reason or another. I don't know why.
yeah. It probably now they have a lot more content, but back when this was originally being crowdfunded, there was like not a lot of coverage or not a lot of good coverage on the game. So I don't think they sold it super well.
Hmm.
And then, like I keep saying, their pledge manager was just crazy. Um, but I love decision-based games. I mean, if this is like the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom or Elden Ring style, where you just roam an open world and find stuff and make decisions, and that changes what happens, and it's like it branching, and you get to look back and be like, oh man, this is happening because of what I did back there, and this is how it's affecting my character. Because I know your character can change, like in a Vindication style, but more story-driven.
Right.
That sounds super awesome. So it's not super high up on the list like most of these types of games would be, but this one I'm just very skeptical a little bit. But I mean, again, big if true. If they pull it off and it's just like come out swinging, and I'm like, I might be coming to you and be like, dude, you need to go and find a way to back this.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I'll await your word.
Yeah, so that's my number 19.
All right. My number 19 is one that from a campaign that just finished a week or two ago. And I think you backed it too. And but this one is from a company that so far there's two games I've played from them. One's been really good, and one of them I'm still to be determined. And that is The Waste of Parts. Sky
This
Kingdom Games.
was. Did I even consider this? I think I forgot about this one too. It's not in my overall list. I probably should have looked at all the games I backed because what
That's
I
what I did.
did
That was the first thing I did was
that
I looked at all the games I backed and then I
the
went
first
into
thing
other
I
stuff.
did is I went to my running list of 2024 and I found games that hadn't come out yet, and then I was
Mhm.
like, oh, am I still excited for these? But yes, I'm glad you brought this one up.
Yeah. So this one, like I said, uh, Icefarian Guard was a very high game for me. Um, Dungeons of Infinity. I mean, it's like I said, the multiplayer that we played, we didn't care for. I haven't done the solo stuff yet, so I'm just going to try it out and see.
Yeah,
But the difference is that Dungeons of Infinity was not their original design. They took it and put their quality component spin on it. This one seems to be a completely, they designed it in house. It's all set, ready to go. Um, but this one, I almost think is going to be better than those other two. I'm thinking, or right, at least right up there with Icefarian Guard, because um, it seems like not as complicated. Like
yeah. Because I'm in their Discord,
mhm,
and I've talked to Eric uh, a bit, and this one's incredibly tame.
mhm,
Like Icefaring Guard is that huge open world story
mhm.
driven game. This is not even a campaign game.
right? And
It
it's
almost
so I
feels
mean,
tower defense.
yeah, yeah, it is in a way because you're running this huge mech around and you're trying to get from point A to point B, but at the further you go, the harder the enemies get that are infiltrating it,
Hmm.
and you're beating them. You're gathering parts to upgrade stuff. The player boards are really neat looking with the dials because I think they're metal dials. I think,
Yeah.
and I mean it's just unique. We were talking about uniqueness with the game you were talking about earlier. This
Yep.
one is just a unique theme all around. And with it being a little lighter, and a little more straightforward, and everything's in front of you. Um, I think that's what's going to make this one solid. Is just because you don't have to, like Icebarian Guard that has to grind and stuff like that. This is going to be almost like a one shot each time you play it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff. So
I'm extremely intrigued on this one. I think this gives me. Have you ever played Far Changing Tides or seen that game at all on Game Pass or something?
I have not.
Okay. So it's an indie game where you have this like submarine that you're like a character that's trying to take care of the submarine as you're going from location to location. And parts break and you have to, fix them, and then you eventually have to like leave the submarine to go get resources to provide to give you fuel for it. This kind of gives me that same vibe where I believe the you're defending the mech, and
Right.
I imagine things can break, and you have special abilities that allow you to fix it and keep it going.
I think
Um,
that's the picking up of the parts when you do the parts pickup, that deck of
yeah,
parts. I think is how you repair.
yeah. So I'm intrigued as well. Like you said, it's unique. There's not many games that are like this. So because Dungeons of Infinity wasn't their design, and Ice Guard was, I have more hopes that this will be good.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
Cool. Well, my number 18, um, let's see. Yeah. Okay. There were two games that recently went on crowdfunding. Well, not recently. That went on crowdfunding that pretty much had the same theme, but this one made my anticipated list because of who the publisher is. Even though the publisher for the other game is well renowned. This one I've personally seen and talked to. Actually, I've actually play tested, not play tested, did demos for both of them at Gen Con. But I'm very excited to see what this company can do. So my number 18 is
Oh, yes.
Avalon, the Riven Vale, which is a game set in the Arthurian legends, which there was another game called Mordred, which is by Coolmania or not, Simon,
Mhm.
also set in the Arthurian legends. But this one is done by Jamie Jolly, the same designer of Oathsworn. So this is Shadowborn Games, and while I'm sad their next crowdfunding wasn't more Oathsworn, I know for a fact that this is kind of something to make while they make more Oathsworn. But this is an area control game of various factions, and I do love these kinds of games when I can get them played. That was kind of like the hard part is that these games are becoming more and more difficult to get to the table. Um, but I like the idea. There's like this fog of war element on that you explore, and the tiles will actually flip, and there's creatures that you can summon that will be that could be on your side. Um, the artwork is absolutely stunning, and that's pretty much it. That's all I know is just a massive war set in the Arthurian legend, which I love that theming. And if I can just get these kinds of games played every now and then, because normally with games like Blood Rage or Rising Sun, I don't play them all the time, but when I do play them, they're like the experience lasts me for a while. So I'm hoping this game can do that, and we'll just see. We'll see what Jamie has in not a boss battling campaign game, and what they can pull off with a area control one.
Yeah, I took a pass on this one just because I don't think I'd ever get it played, and then it doesn't really have a solo
Yeah,
aspect to it. So I figured I would just pull off and go whole hog on their next Oathsworn. But
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, all it pretty much says, there's not really much actually on BGG, but explore the mist, discover legendary items of power, bond mythic beasts, hunt for the Grail, and prepare for war. Any area control game that allows you to tame and have your own monsters, um, is always a win in my book, unless it's
yeah,
Kemet.
yeah,
I don't know why that game just does not work for me. I think it's because it's all combat and it doesn't
yeah.
feel like as strategic,
It's all in your
but
face all the time.
all the time, yeah. And it's against my natural play style. I love, if there's a faction that can turtle up, then that's me.
Yeah.
Just like, no one can kill me until I'm ready. So yeah, love the artwork.
All right. Yeah, that looks nice. I like. I'd definitely play it. I just didn't want to own
Yeah, that's fair.
it. All right. My number 18 is a game in a series of games that I've owned all of them. The very first one in this series that they did was not great, but the other ones have been quite a bit better. And that is Unstoppable from Renegade's Solo Hero series.
Interesting.
The first one was that one, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Proving Grounds?
Yes, Proving Grounds. And that one was
Ooh.
very, 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 very basic and and generic. Then they
Yeah.
went to Warp's Edge, which is good. Then the God, I can't remember the name of this other one now.
Wrecking Run?
Wreckland Run. Yeah. And that one's good too. So this one this one's a John D. Clare deal. So it's got your card crafting system thrown into it. It's solo. It says or cooperative, but I solo is pretty much the best way to do this, is from what everything on the page and everything was saying.
The Solo Hero series, best at 2.
Yeah, exactly. It says cooperative too, so I'm almost wondering if you can combine copies or something. But
yeah,
it's got this thing called momentum deck building, and I don't know 100% what that means. But it's a futuristic type deal. Card crafting's in it, which will be a first in this series too, because card crafting really hasn't been in any of these. And it seems like momentum is big in this, and maybe that's why it's called Unstoppable. It's because your deck building has a momentum aspect of drawing cards and all this different stuff. But the theme of it's like you're on a city planet, and you're just doing all these missions and stuff. And like I said, I don't know a ton on it, but having Renegade's background with this stuff, and with it also having a John D. Clare in there with his card crafting, I think it's gonna be a really cool, interesting setup for this.
Yeah.
Just to see how things work out.
I feel like I watched a playthrough of this too, and that's why I backed it.
Oh, you backed it too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, cool. But yeah, so it's just one of those things that I think, me being very big into solo, is these kind of games are like what I look for in this series.
Yeah.
And John D. Clare does some really cool stuff. So
that's true.
This is just one of those that I couldn't really pass up on,
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like Proving Grounds, but I liked Warp's Edge quite a bit, so I think this one should be pretty solid.
Yep. I'm gonna let my dogs in here real quick. They're whining like a little bitch. Hold on a second.
I love, yeah, it's like anyone who has dogs would like die for them, but then it's like as soon as they bark, it's just like I'm gonna kill them.
Let's go lay down.
Yeah.
Down.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this one is the first one that I think will be our first crossover, I think. Okay. This is the third iteration in a massive series that I don't even think you've played the second iteration at all. Luckily, I have, because they're super fun to do for the channel. They give me both content and ranking videos, and I get to talk to. I always get to talk. God damn it! What is this? Anyway, my it's you can go ahead. There it is. Final Girl Series 3. Oh, she actually put the ultimate box. I guess that is what it says. Um, yeah, I'm getting the ultimate box, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, Final Girl is, in my opinion, it's my favorite solo game. It just really hits on all levels of, for me, a solo experience because there's just so much replayability. I mean, just within the same box of just different events that can come out and the different cards you have for the horror deck, and potentially what the uh, epic powers that the monsters can have. But the fact that you can just take any monster in any location and mix and match them, and then just pick a random final girl to go in on that is brilliant design. And I don't know what most of these are actually playing off of. Because typically they have Freddy and Jason and all that,
Yeah.
like, or as close to actual horror icons as you can get. Um, the one in the middle looks like a Shy Guy from, maybe they're going the video game route where it's a Shy Guy from Mario. I think one of these is definitely Hellraiser, because the ones you have are the Killer from Tomorrow, Hell to Pay, Falconwood Files, the Merrick Murders, and Don't Make a Sound. So no idea what. And maybe some of these are actually original. I know they usually throw in an original one from in the first two, but yeah, I love Final
I've
Girl.
heard that they have 2 more series boxes already
They have
kind of
two
planned.
more
Yeah,
because every Gen Con, I always try and swing by and talk to AJ, and he alluded that there was at least one more because he's like, oh, it'd look weird in the Calyx shelf if you only had three, because two of them can fit on top of each other
right.
in a Calyx shelf. So I assumed they were doing four and that they were calling it there.
Yeah. I
But
will say really quick, just to interrupt you, there is a pick for this. She told me because, well, this will be a crossover, just spoiler.
oh,
But
okay,
the pick is from one of the old boxes because there isn't any new pictures from
gotcha.
stuff. So, I mean, this is
Oh, okay. Well, it
yeah,
shows Final Girl. That's from series one with
right,
Hans at Camp Happy Trails. He's your Jason kind of mix. But yeah, and they've just completely supported this with like the gruesome deaths. Like if you have a unique how the game ends, it might be a unique way. Narratively, it ends. They have an app to like a randomizer app you can download, which is really cool. But I just love the presentation on this. It's the best horror theme game, I think, like to play around the holidays. And I've actually taught this to people by playing kind of a pseudo DM and letting them play and make decisions, but like helping them and what's going on
right.
and kind of uh, narratively talk about what's happening. So it's super fun. Cannot wait for Series 3 of Final
Yeah,
Girl.
me too. I think I've played all of them now except for the Christmas one.
Oh, okay.
So I need to play that probably here in the next week, huh?
That's true. Yeah.
So, all right. My number 17 is a game from my favorite board game company, hands down. And it's not higher on this list because it's not the general type of game that they make. So I mean, it looks good. It says it plays 1 to 4. I don't know really how it's going to play, but I love this company's quality of stuff and everything they do with their games.
Yeah.
And that is Roth.
Roth, that's what it's called.
And it says 1 to 4, but it's an area control game. So I don't know if there's a solid AI that's going to, do
Yeah.
that. So that's kind of got a little leery with it, but I'm going to get every single thing Chip Theory ever puts out. So, this is one that the art is really unique.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gives me, I know it's not exactly, but the color scheme and everything kind of gives me Radlands vibes, even though the art's different.
Yeah.
But it's just it's really kind of a small game if you really think about some of their other stuff, because
Yeah.
you have your little area in the middle and you have your race that you pick and you're going to roll. There's dice allocation and you're just fighting over areas. I mean, it seems like it's pretty, straightforward. Um, it's an easy teach. Game lasts an hour. uh, you know, uh, and it's just one of those things that you know, you can't go wrong with the quality of this, and it wasn't that expensive
Yeah.
either. Um,
Yeah, I stayed away from this one just because I mean, yeah, kind of like how Spiritfire was with you. This one I was like, I'm not feeling it.
yeah, and I may not like it either, but like I said earlier, it's chip theory, so I'm gonna get it. It's just
That's true.
it's just like when I bought that game that I haven't played yet, that the Neon Rain,
Oh
that like
yeah,
that game
they're
does not fit my style much at all. But I bought it because it's chip theory, even though it's not a chip theory, it's not plastic cards and all that stuff. It's like it's
Is it not?
regular. I don't think so. I haven't
It
opened it
should
yet,
be.
but
Thought it
but
was.
yeah,
But
I'll look at it and save it. But yeah,
all right, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Well, my number 16 would would normally be higher because of the other game that this company has made that I just think is one of the most brilliantly designed games ever. Um, but this one I feel like, especially nowadays, feels a little bit too close to home. Like they really sold put the Kickstarter at the perfect time to get people intrigued. So my number 16 is World Order. I mean, if you don't like politics, then what better game to play than politics? What makes me kind of hesitant on this one, though, is hegemony was concepts of political economics, where it wasn't really specifically talking about any country. This one is 1,000,000% that. Each of the four factions is, um, it's the United States, the Soviet Union, not the Soviet Union, the Russian Federation, the People's Republic of China, and the European Union. And it's heavy economics and war and trade. And while I believe in these designers because of how smart hegemony is, um, I feel like the next 2 to 4 years is gonna make me sad every time I play this, or maybe it'll be therapeutic. It'll
it's
just be
it's
like, I'm gonna send my army and kill all your people. Not saying who's doing that,
it's gonna
but
turn in. It's gonna turn into your own, this war of mine.
yeah, it might. This is a perfect Thanksgiving game. Talk
Yeah.
about politics while you're at it. Uh, but yeah, I think that the design elements and the mechanisms that they're going to throw in, because with hegemony they had like a book where they explained, how things are in the real world, but what they had to do to make it work in the board game. I believe they're doing the exact same thing here. It looks funny enough because it's the country, or not like the world map. It just looks like insanely complicated Risk.
Mhm.
um but yeah, I again, it's from the designers of Hegemony. That's why it's on the list, but it's not super high up because I feel like this one might just be more upsetting to play, especially nowadays. So
I mean,
yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. That is my number 16.
you just need to
I am
play them like back to back.
yeah,
Hegemony right
pretty
into
much.
World War.
I'm curious at how the relationship aspect, because in Hegemony, all the decisions and stuff impacted every single faction, and I'm obviously war is very direct, but I want to know the stuff that's not as direct,
Right.
like trade relations or border disputes or immigration or what taxes or tariffs, whatever, all that. Like if that's integrated in this game. Where you have a lot of negotiation. I feel like this one might have even more negotiation than Hegemony did.
Yeah.
But yeah. And Hegemony, I you need four to make that game really, really sing. So it's kind of a every once in a while game for me, and I feel like this would probably be that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 16.
Interesting. All right. My number 16 is a game that I backed on Kickstarter. It was one of those that we laughed about a year or so ago because I had it pre-backed and I forgot to cancel it, and then it actually funded, and I was like, oh well, And then I
Yeah.
looked more into it, and I actually think it looks really cool. Um, and that is Fate Defenders of Grimheim.
I mean,
Um,
I think you'll like it.
no, I do. I think so now after looking at stuff more, yes, for sure. But at that time, I was just doing the one, just backing it and letting it set, but I forgot about it. And then you get that pop-up notification that says your
Your
pledge has
pledge has
been.
been collected.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I got the all in on this one, and this is um it's Norse stuff, obviously, and pretty much what you're doing is it's in a weird way, it's almost like a tower defense kind of thing, because there's Freya's well is in the center, is in the middle, and you're like trying to protect the well as all these the trolls and all these other fire monsters and all these different things are coming towards it, and you're trying to defend and do different stuff. And if you got the all in the monsters box that came with it, you're going to have miniatures for every single chits. That's what this is showing. So there's going to be green miniatures for the goblins and orc stuff. It almost reminds me of a little more complicated version of Castle Panic,
Mm-hmm.
but you can actually move around the board on this one. Like in Castle Panic, you just kind of took your zones and attacked things that were coming towards the castle.
Yeah.
This one, you actually can move around and wipe shit out and do all these different things. And you can upgrade your characters along the way. The more you kill, the more you can upgrade. And it's just one of those things I think is going to end up being a pretty fun game when you get into
Yeah.
it and stuff.
It
And
looked like it would be solid solo.
mhm,
Um, and I think, yeah, you have quests that you go on, as well as the character upgrades and stuff seem pretty unique. Like a small footprint kind of game. This doesn't seem like it's the most expansive thing in the world, but might
right,
be fun to actually play.
yeah, and each character you pick has their very own deck
Yeah.
too. So like it comes in. I think the base game has 4 characters, 4 or 6, I can't remember. And then there's an expansion box that came if you got depending on what pledge level you got, that adds 2 more like sorcerers, but they each have their own deck and stuff. So you
Yeah.
have, the art's kind of cool. I'm interested to see how this one turns out, because it seems like it'll be a pretty solid one. It doesn't look like it's too heavy. It doesn't look like it's too light. So it's gonna
Right.
be kind of right there in that sweet spot, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm glad you picked it up because I didn't.
Yeah.
But I do want to try it. All right, my number 15. This company has kind of, especially they've been so good for a lot of the games, but lately they've just been miss after miss. But they have a couple games that they're making, and this is one of them from what I can tell, a first-time designer, and I believe this might be on your list as well. So my number 15 is
Mm.
Into the God's Grave. Yeah, game by that man. That man right there, down at the bottom. That's
Grisgor's some
Gretzkos
Skespensky.
Pansky. Yeah, he, as far as I can tell, is a first-time designer. But this is from Lucky Duck, and I mean, it's a narrative-driven campaign game that I just love. That I have a running list of over 20 games currently, not even games that I'm waiting to be delivered, of campaign games because they're just so juicy. But what does it say? As you travel across the world, you will discover and scout unknown lands. Only the companion app knows what lies ahead and what kind of challenges your journey will bring. The lineage and class of your hero will determine your starting deck. Completing scenarios will allow you to earn rewards and more cards for your deck, allowing you to customize your hero. Honestly, I don't know much about this game. I don't even really
Either.
remember watching how to play. I think I was just like, oh, I'll give Lucky Duck another shot. After Destiny's was just hot diarrhea. Um, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I mean, mainly like with the fully cooperative aspect that I think is just gonna make this game a lot better.
Yes.
Seems like it's a deck builder, or so that as you do scenarios, you get to customize your deck. So yeah,
Well, I think what you said just a little bit ago is that depending on what lineage and deal you, it's almost like it has like a sorcerer aspect, like where you're putting you create your deck at the beginning depending on what your lineage and stuff is.
yeah, which would be really cool. And the theme, I mean, if the cruelty of the gods had any purpose, they remained a mystery even after their death. They gave us miserable fates and treated us like toys, but we knew it had to end one day. So it seems like you're going up against trying to bring down gods. So maybe it'll be a kind of a pseudo boss battler as well.
Yep.
I don't know, but I do like games with companion apps as well. So we shall see. This might be the last time I swing blindly at a Lucky Duck game,
Yeah.
but or it could hit.
Yeah. You never know.
Never know. But yeah, that is my number 15. I mean, plus, I
Oh,
mean, anything, almost anything fantasy, I'll
yeah.
gravitate towards a lot more. I don't know why, but sci-fi, I'm like, oh, let me take another look at that. But fantasy, I'm just like, nom, 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 nom. Give
Yeah.
me
Exactly.
more.
Yep. All right. My number 15 is a game that I knew nothing about until a couple months ago, and it was just in my face all the time. There was so much on Facebook ads and everywhere just throwing this game in front of me. So I finally clicked on it and checked it out. And it's a 1 to 2 player co-op game. Um, but it can be played two-handed solo. That's the main reason I did it, because my wife will never play this with me because it's cooperative.
I'll
But
play it with you.
yeah,
We can hold hands.
you may have it on your list. I don't know. We'll see. But it's from a company I've never heard of before, so that was another thing. But it's one that I definitely intrigued to get to the table, and that is Sea Beasts of
Dude,
Bloody
I was
Voyage.
also getting ads for this game
I know
too.
it's
So
all over the
somehow
place.
somehow they got the marketing team to just um flood people's social media.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it worked. It got me to get it. So, but yeah, so you're a it's they call it an ocean crawler. So you're Vikings and you're sailing through water, treacherous waters, and there's all these things in the depths that are going to try to come up and attack you and stop you and everything, and you and I mean it looks pretty. I mean, it's a board, with a boat, and you're just doing stuff around. And looks like there's 3 locations where there's going to be encounters around your ship. Oh,
Uh
more than that, actually. There looks like
there
there's
are, yeah,
yeah,
so
there's
I
several.
actually, again, One Stop Co-op Shop did a playthrough of this because I was seeing all the ads too, and I'm like, it's a Facebook ad, so the game's probably dog shit. And so I watched the video and I was like, that actually looks pretty intriguing. Um, yeah, so you have to manage where you are on the boat and position yourself to be able to fight those creatures, um, while you move from area to area, encountering events and different levels of beasts.
Right. But yeah, so this one, it seems like it's because it wasn't super expensive, really. I
Yep.
mean, and with it being just a easy game to two-hand solo, it's just one of those. It was kind of an obvious pickup.
Yeah.
And the theme's kind of cool because I like Norse stuff, and then this one's just on a boat the whole time, so
Yeah.
that's kind of, there isn't one like that I've
This
ever
kind of
played.
gives me, again, in tower defense a little bit because you have your boat that you have to manage and like
Mhm.
resources and stuff that are you're trying to get a score at the end of the game, but it's nice because it feels like it should be tense and strategic, but also it's not campaign or anything. You can just pack it up and you're done.
Well, it says it
So
plays 20 to 45 minutes is all,
yeah,
so it's
because
like a quick one too.
your course that you're going on that map over on the right,
Hmm.
you dictate the length, so you can do a short, medium, or long game, and that determines how far
Gotcha.
you have to go.
Cool.
So yeah, I agree. This one looks pretty cool. Love the cover too.
Yes,
I like
I do
the
too. It's
colors.
awesome.
Looks pretty sweet. My number 14 is a incredibly unique game that could be very cute. To me, it was coming off as Pokemon, but with robots. So my number 14 is
You
Robomon.
had this on your list last year.
Did I?
Yes.
Why do you remember? I don't even remember my list from last year.
I just remember this being on there because it was something we had talked about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, here it is again. There is one game that has probably been on my list for the past 4 years, but I just quit putting it on because I'm like, it's probably never coming out. But this one they're regularly doing updates. The tag is explore an open world and put together a team of Robomon to become the best trainer. I wanna be the very
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it clearly has that. Hopefully Nintendo doesn't catch wind and just execute this man's family.
Yeah,
Like this is too close to our game, but
it's super
you,
close. I
it
mean, look,
really, it's like look at the cards. They look
I
like
know.
it's adorable. I don't know if they evolve. I think they can. I think you can collect parts and build them up. It seems incredibly adorable. But I know on like the open world aspect, it like shows you the map and you can like go to it's like, hey, here's where you're at. You're at this junkyard, and you can go and talk to people and have dialogue options and interactions. In terms of, yeah, it's like each game session can take 5 minutes or 5 hours, depending on how long you want to play. Explore the book of maps and work your way through the adventure book to complete quests, solve puzzles, and defeat gym leaders.
There you go.
Please don't. Hold on. It says in asterisk, please don't sue us, Nintendo.
Oh
Weird.
God. Hmm.
Um, So I think it's going to be it looks extremely adorable. I'm hoping the gameplay, because I don't need gameplay to be super deep or anything in a story-driven game. Like, as long as it's serviceable, like, I don't think Sleeping Gods has the most in-depth mechanisms ever, but it enhances the experience. So as long as the combat, like the Pokemon battles are fun. This looks like it's grid based, so you move around. It's not turn based like it is in Pokemon. Um, I think I would say it's unique, but it's not. It's clearly Pokemon just with robots instead of actual animals, which makes
Yes.
the animal abuse and dogfighting less severe in this when you can just rebuild them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting.
I think the designer is a first time designer. I guess he's not. He seems like he's on this game called Hunted. So I don't know if he was a consultant or if he was the actual designer. But that's my number 14, Robomon.
All right, my
It's
number
even
four.
called I was
No.
like it's
Yeah.
like Pokemon, Robomon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're going right at it.
They really are.
All right, my number 14 is a reworking of an old classic. Um, the old classic was number one on the BGG ranking several years ago for a long time. And I owned it, but it was just the component quality wasn't very good. It was kind of just basic. It was all beige, it was just kind of like one of those boring old school Euros. And then I believe it was a company. Yeah, yeah. This is an Awaken Realms rehash of the game. They did Castles of Burgundy, which was really
Oh,
awesome. So then they came out with the remake of Puerto Rico, and this
why a
one,
tall?
yeah. But this one is because I like Puerto Rico.
And I'm canceled.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you racist. No, I tried, please.
I always liked Puerto Rico, but it was just so boring looking and so outdated and stuff. So then
You
Awaken
shouldn't
Realms
judge books by their cover. It's what's on the inside that counts.
Awaken Realms has started this thing where they're taking these old Euros and they're putting a really top-notch spin on them. Like Castles
Yeah.
of Burgundy is nuts, the
Oh, it's so
quality
good.
and stuff of it.
Yeah.
And
They
this
did
one,
didn't they do Robinson Crusoe as well? I thought they helped with
I think they may have
the
helped
collector's
Portal with
edition
that.
with
Yeah,
that. Oh
but I mean,
God, that looks sexy as
I
hell.
know that's what I'm saying. Like this is, I mean, it's crazy how much different this looks and everything. And it's like, um, I don't think I did the 3D buildings because
You should have.
I didn't do like all in. Like
You
I
should
did the
have.
next step because I got the boats and all that stuff. But um,
Well, if you're gonna get the boats, you might as well get the buildings.
it was like almost $100 more just to get the bill.
You
I was
just
like,
do stretch pay. Go into board game debt like the rest of us.
so anyway, this one's one that I'm happy to add to my Castles of Burgundy, remake deal, and I'm curious what angle they're going to do on any next ones.
What
See
could
if
they
there's any
do?
other ones that they jump
What is
into.
a Le Havre? That's
They won't.
around that same.
They'll never do Le Havre because the company that owns those games aren't going to give it up.
Ah,
Because these are like Ravensburger and Rio Grande. There's what
oh,
did
okay.
these and stuff. So we'll see. But anyway, there isn't much. I don't think there's much different with this. It's just a quality of life upgrade, and
Yeah,
it just makes it look a lot sexier, and having the goods, being able to put on the boats and all that. I mean, it's just
yeah,
bonkers, and I can't wait to get my stuff for
yeah.
this. It'll be awesome.
That looks sexy. I stayed away from this. I knew Castles of Burgundy enough to do the collector's edition. I've never played Puerto Rico, so I wasn't
It's
gonna get
good.
the special edition. I mean, looking at
It's
this, I
solid.
just want it for the boats.
Yeah.
It looks so good. Um, but you'll have it. You won't have the buildings, but I mean, so I guess
Well, I can
we'll play
always
your
pick them up
inferior
later.
copy.
I can always pick them up later. Well, in the
You're,
pledge
I
manager,
know
I
you're
think.
going to. You're gonna get this copy, then you're gonna be like, "Damn, I wish I had the buildings." Then you're
Yeah.
gonna search for them. Why don't just get them now?
Well, the pledge manager is still open right now
I
too,
know.
so
All
but
right. My number 13, I actually just finished watching a 3-hour video from Paul Grogan doing a tutorial. And apparently this is actually getting delivered. So technically I'm kind of cheating because I guess some people are getting their copy. I will not be getting mine because I did single shipping. For some reason with this company, I always forget to do split shipping. So I get everything way later. But this is based off a video game that is not board game adjacent, but it looks really good, especially now that I've seen how a full game plays, and that is Stalker. Now, at the time, I hadn't watched that video, but this would probably be a little, not too much higher, a little bit higher. Awaken Realms. Spoiler: this is not going to be the first time you're seeing this, seeing them on this list. Uh, but I love this theme, this Metro Chernobyl, um, disaster kind of theme.
have you played the new
And
video game that just got on Game
I
Pass?
have not. I know
Yeah,
they
it's
have
awesome.
it's Stalker 2. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
played the
awesome.
first one, so in fact, seeing this, I didn't even know it was a video game until, after I backed it and all that. But
Mhm.
I haven't even played the new Metro Exodus, but the first two I have played and they're good. But this one is actually what I thought was a big campaign game. It's not. They have kind of a small scenario-based campaign that you do get progressive kind of upgrades, but mostly it's one-shots that are incredibly replayable. From what they were saying, it's like you pick a scenario to do, like a objective, and which there are like 10 scenarios to pick from, and then there are 10 maps. So you just pick a scenario, pick a map, and then these cards down at the bottom are like unique randomizers that will modify the map and stuff, give you alternative objectives, new things to interact with. But one thing that a lot of games like this that don't have are guns. I don't really have any major game like this with guns
Yeah,
that are good. It's always, I mean, bow and arrow and stuff, but like having to manage ammo, and the stealth-based potential approach with the, um, high-flying action of gunfighting. It the playthrough that I watched looked like really solidified how excited I am for this one. Um, and again, it'll be nice to just be like, oh, let's play a game of Stalker and just set it up and have a 2-3 hour experience that you may or may not throw into your campaign because it seems like again the campaign is pick a scenario, but there's extra steps. Um, so yeah, like this one isn't showing the unique board, but you have a gear and loadout special abilities of your character, the tactics of cooperation between your squad. It seems incredibly thematic. So yeah, I'm very intrigued. Looks like it's just going to be a blast. And yeah, that's my number 13, Stalker.
All right. My number 13 is a game that I didn't know a whole lot about it. when it hit, but it just looked so good on the table in their campaign videos and stuff. And they're calling it a heavy Euro game, stuffed to the brim with combos, bonuses, engine building, and interaction, which could be a lot of different things. And that is the Sixth Realm. It has
Final
some pretty,
Frontier.
yeah, Final Frontier games. So Final Frontier games has several games out. They with the Merchants Cove and stuff like that. This is in that same
Is
world.
that a cat? You have
Where?
a cat
No,
behind you.
Oh, that's Zeus.
Oh.
He just jumped up on the bed.
Oh.
Um,
You were looking for where?
I was like, where? I was looking at the screen, like, is that a cat on the deal? But pretty much, I like Seth Jaffe and Matthew Dunstan being the some of the designers. They put out some good stuff. It's got the Miko art,
Which looks amazing because you can't see any people.
Yeah, but this game is it takes, so there's 5 realms in this world, and there's this 6th realm that you're going to try to move into.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in this one. But so there's only 3 rounds in this game. Each round has 7 different things happening though, so it's it's still a long game.
Yeah.
But you will pick a guild. You'll go to a place and you'll pick a guild, and then depending on what guild you do, it depends on what actions you take that turn.
Okay.
So like there's a merchants guild, which is all about resources. There's the builders guild when you're trying to construct, locations. The adventurers guild, you get to go out and explore ancient ruins and do different stuff. And navigators guild likes to explore the continent. There's all these different guilds that you're doing, but it just this isn't the best picture of this game. Like there was another picture that has it's an overhead view, and you just see just all the color just crazy on this, and there's so many bits. Like this is going to be one of those that's going to be it almost might be too heavy, but it still isn't. It intrigues me enough just because it's kind of got that kind of fantasy adjacent kind of stuff.
Yeah. This looks like, a year ago me, 2 years ago me, I'd be like, oh my God.
Right.
Oh, the 6th realm. But now I'm just like, I feel like if I played this, I'd be like, this is amazing. I don't ever want to play it again.
Yeah, and that may be with me too. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I couldn't. It wasn't that expensive, so I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. This is one that I think Amy would like to, and stuff. So yeah, I mean, we'll give it a shot and see what happens. But it looks pretty sweet,
This could be the game. You just sit down, explain it to Amy, and she's like, I want a divorce.
No, she'll kick my ass because this is the kind of game she'll kick my ass.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's competitive. If it was cooperative, she'd leave you.
Yep.
That's why I'm curious now. Let's unpack this. Did you guys get into? Was there divorce talking after a cooperative game?
No, she just does because that's how I got her into the hobby, was with co-op games, and I think she just finally. Then I started introducing some competitive, and I think that's the way she wants to go.
Yep. Great. Well, I mean, I'll definitely give this a shot. Like, Final Frontier hasn't been a lot, like a lot of their games haven't really been up my alley, but I mean, this looks big and complex enough that it could be super fun.
Yep.
For the one time I'll play it.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a super running theme with my list. Just showcases how my tastes, how they've been lately. However, my number 12 is not in this running list. In fact, it was a game that I almost completely avoided because, funny enough, I have 2 video games, to board games back to back. It's from Glass Cannon Unplugged, and actually, I don't know the designers off the top of my head, but Glass Cannon Unplugged did Frostpunk and Dying Light, and they're doing Don't Starve. So they're pretty much hitting the nail on the head. So my number 12 is Apex Legends, the board game. And I actually used to play Apex Legends quite a bit until I just realized I fucking suck. So with this, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll be good. And if Six Siege is anything to go off of from translating that into a board game and how good that game is, I think this game will be just as good, if not better. Like, I love the idea of squad based, team versus team, tactics skirmish games. If you're not familiar with Apex, it's a battle royale where it's last team standing. And in battle royales, you have maps that close in on themselves. So you're going out looking for loot, using that to upgrade your weapons with different rarity. And each character has different abilities, like ultimates that they have. This one, table presence, is going to be huge with the different maps and the buildings. The fact that you can actually climb up on those buildings, positioning is going to matter. And like I said, eventually the map is going to close in, so you have to, if you don't want to take damage from being out in the ring, you're going to have to get closer and eventually fight one another. So because I do like Apex Legends, it's not like I hate the video game. I just I never win. Um, I'm very intrigued, and because it's Glass Cannon Unplugged, I think it's going to be extremely solid. Their next game I need to hop on before I think their pre-orders are done is Dying Light, because that's another game that's a video game that I wasn't super hot on, but I think the board game might make it a lot more fun. Um, so yeah, that's my number 12, Apex Legends, the board game.
Yeah, I like the 3D aspect of all that stuff,
Hmm.
But
I know they had some major storage solutions, so I'm hoping that pans out with this, because I would really hate to have to put those boxes, those buildings somewhere else,
yeah,
or just deconstruct them every time. But yeah, I think it'll be good. And they have a really unique way to do shooting. It's not like dice based, it's card based, if I remember right. Like there was an accuracy and a range like that would modify the number of cards you draw and whether or not you hit. So if I'm remembering right, because Call of Duty is also coming out as a board game, and I can't remember if that was the one that did that or if it's this. I'm pretty sure it's this one though.
yeah, no,
So
sure.
yeah, that's my number 12.
All
Here's the
right,
thing though, about real
yeah,
quick about this one though, and about Six Siege, is both of them are still ongoing video games. So I know they don't have every single operator or whatever they're called. So I'm hoping that they actually keep releasing, so they keep up with the video game. Because I would like to be like, ooh, there's this character in the video game that has a really cool ability. I'd like to play them in the board game. So I'm hoping that they continue to support it. I know the game's not even out yet, but that's an issue with Six Siege, and I don't want that to be an issue here.
yeah. All right, my number 12 is a game that its prod campaign project just finished, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's a redo of an older, not old game, but an older game that I was always intrigued by, but I never did pull the trigger on it. And this is a reworking of it that makes it, look a lot nicer and all that stuff. And that is Last Aurora, the Frostlands and Firelands. The Frostlands is the actual redoing of the Last Aurora game from back in the day, and then the Firelands is like another part of that world that you can kind of play. But so the Frostlands is kind of the actual remake of the original. And pretty much on this game, it's post-apocalyptic stuff, vehicle crap. It kind of gives you that Mad Max kind of feel a little bit. But you are journeying across these lands, and pretty much you're racing against time. You're trying to make it. There's this ship that you're trying to get to. In the Frostlands, it's the icebreaker ship. It's the last ship away to get to salvation. And so you're trying to get to the ship, or you're gonna die. And it says it's 2 to 4 players. There's a solo aspect to this game, solo variant. So that's why I mainly picked it up. Plus, it's with it being competitive, I think I could get it played with other people a little bit, mainly my wife. Let's see here.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So anyway, you are running your vehicles, across these wastelands, depending on what theme you choose. It's the ice ship for Frostlands, and I want to say the Firelands one is. Let's see what the Firelands one is, because it adds a little bit of a different thing. There's a citadel that you're trying to get to and stuff, but it's just one of those things. I like post-apocalyptic stuff, and this one has the car type stuff with it too, and everything. So it's always one. I figured I would wait because I almost pulled the trigger on buying the retail version. I was like, oh, they're doing a campaign for this cool upgraded, so I'm just gonna wait and do this. And it looks like, because it's not super heavy, it's not that complex of a game.
Okay.
So we'll see if this will fit my car niche, since I can't get myself to pull the trigger on Thunder Road, because it doesn't have the solo stuff. This one might be enough to give me a little bit of the car violence that I'm
the chaos
for.
car Mad Max style stuff.
Yeah. So, but this one's one I'm definitely looking forward to getting. I got all the upgrade bits and everything for it too. It wasn't too crazy expensive, and we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, that's Last Aurora.
Sweet. My number 11 is definitely, I'd be surprised if it actually wasn't on your list, is probably going to be a crossover. Again, it's it's by Lucky Duck. So this one I think will probably be a lot more successful than Destiny's was. One, I think the theme is amazing, and they're getting help from a better publishing company. So that is The Dark Quarter. Which, doesn't that guy in the middle look like Kurt Russell?
Kind of. Yeah. I see
and
that.
and the girl on the right, that's definitely Taylor Swift.
Oh God.
It is. That completely looks like Taylor Swift now that I'm looking at this. And the other two don't look like anyone that I recognize.
Don't get racist now.
Yeah, apparently and that's what people are going to say. They're like, "Oh, you don't recognize the black characters?" It's like, "Oh, no, that's not what I meant." But the Dark Quarter is set in New Orleans, vibrant city of music, food, and magic. And it's a cooperative, app-driven adventure game set in a dark, fantastical vision of 1980s New Orleans. This one is campaign-driven, story-driven, similar to Destiny's. And the reason why I don't like Destiny's is because it's semi-cooperative and you basically never had to touch the game because the app did everything. Here, that might be the same case, but I love this. I love the detective style games where you are trying to solve murders and stuff. This feels like it has that. It's specifically on the box cover, at least on PGG, has an M rating on it.
This one
Down at
does
the
too,
bottom, bottom left for mature content. So I'm intrigued as to how mature they get, if it's like a murder mystery kind of dark, seedy 1980s New Orleans. I imagine they can get pretty dark. I'm wanting, if it's tasteful and not just cringe, being mature just for the sake of being mature, I'm hoping it has kind of like a Seven vibe. Even though Seven isn't in the 80s, but like how dark that can get. I'm hoping that's the kind of atmosphere that they're giving. But yeah, through multi-scenario campaigns, the game tells a rich, dynamic story and invites players to make critical decisions that will not only affect their characters, but change the direction and course of the story. So I'm hoping as well that, because a lot of campaign games are narrative driven, and they might be branching paths of the overall story. But if this one actually affects your characters, I think that could be super cool too. There's not a whole lot of games out there that modify your actual character. So we'll see what they do about that. But I'm intrigued. It's Van Ryder Games and Lucky Duck, so I think Van Ryder is doing the writing.
Yes.
And Lucky Duck is design or app development for sure. So
yeah, I didn't back this one initially.
Same.
And then I did a late pledge on it because I finally I couldn't pass up because Van Ryder Games knows their horror and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's their big thing. So I'm and with them writing it, I'm putting a lot of faith in that because they do good stuff with that. So that's kind of what sold me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also did not back this because I pretty much I written off Lucky Duck
Hmm.
because yeah, because of Destinies and all that. But maybe Dark Order will be amazing. This is a pretty unique setting, so I'm excited.
Yep. All right. My number 11 is a game that I really didn't know much about. And I want to say you're the one that kind of steered me in the direction of this game when it was on crowdfunding. Because I haven't messed with the first game from this company in the series. Um, but the theme of this one was really cool. And then when you throw in the um, cooperative deduction aspect to this game, that wasn't something that I really haven't played a whole lot of deduction games. That was always something that we talked about. And then I really like Pagan, that we've played recently and stuff because having the two-player deduction. But this one being cooperative deduction seemed intriguing, and as Corpse of Discovery.
I
This
almost went in on this one. This company really makes expensive games for what
Yeah.
you get.
Yeah, so I figured I'd give this one a shot. This was one that did Harrow County, I believe, wasn't it?
Harrow County and
Yeah.
Mind Management.
Yeah. So this one has an interesting little theme because it's a Lewis and Clark game, the explorers, but they run into monsters and crap as they're exploring. So it brings in
Yeah.
like the supernatural aspect into what we know, with because isn't that Pocahontas or something like that?
I
Or
have
no,
no idea.
I can't remember who the Native American girl was that was helping them. I can't remember, but anyway,
Sacagawea? I think
maybe.
it's Sacagawea.
Yeah, I think you're right. But
Here we
but
are we're gonna get canceled
I
again.
know. But what intrigued me about this was that cooperative deduction, because you're moving around
Yes,
and
it
you're
was
doing stuff.
Sacagawea, by the way.
Okay. And all of these tokens are face down, and stuff, and you're exploring and this picture doesn't really show it super well. Like it's not a great picture,
Yeah.
but it kind of gives you the aspect. I mean, you're going to be exploring different parts. There's going to be things underneath, and there's also several of those sheets
Yeah.
that slide in, so it's going to change. You have several different ways of playing it,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to use logic and deduction to reason out stuff. So it it intrigued me enough because of having that aspect to it where you can kind of it can be played solo since it's
Yeah.
cooperative.
It gives
um,
off like search for Planet X or
mhm,
search for the lost species where it's like there's like rules to where like what can be where and stuff.
right. So this was one I dove in on just because you know I like history and stuff like that, and it was interesting enough that I don't have many deduction games in my collection.
Mm.
So this was going to be one I was just going to give it a shot and see how it plays out, and just see how it goes. I mean, it was one of those shot in the dark, going to go for it and see what happens and see how it goes. But it definitely has me intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost looked at this one as well. But I ultimately was like, that's really
It
expensive.
was, yeah.
So so I'll pass, but
I don't even remember how much I paid for it. I don't know what version I got, but
yeah.
it wasn't
All
cheap.
right. My number 10 is our first crossover that we're officially talking about. And this was the one that I was also getting a million ads for
Oh,
and
okay.
eventually had to check it out. And I was like, oh my God, that actually looks good. So my number 10 is Sea
Yep.
Beast. Yeah, I gotta like this one. Like there are other games that I've already talked about that I probably will like more than this, but this one is a lot more unique. It's not a campaign, it's not narrative driven anything. It's a boat defense, what they call it, ocean exploration.
It was
Ocean
it
exploration,
was an ocean crawl.
ocean crawl.
Yeah.
That sounds better. Uh, and yeah, again, watching the playthrough helps solidify that this could be a lot of fun because there's a lot of creatures with rules. There's like boss creatures that in the tier 3 deck that just look insane. I liked the dynamic of the characters, how they're utilized for their actions and stuff. Um so yeah, it looks like it'll be a good solid co-op, like standalone co-op game. So yeah,
Yep.
that's my number 10.
Good choice. My number 10 is our next crossover.
Hell yeah.
This one might surprise you being a crossover though, because I did not back this. I still have not backed this.
World Order.
I don't know if I'm going to back this because you can still get in late on it. But I definitely want to play your copy, and I didn't really give this game much of a notice at all until I started playing the video game.
Oh,
And that was Stalker.
wow.
Stalker 2 is awesome. Like, I love those first person shooters and having the
Yeah,
supernatural stuff with this and the theme. I mean, I want to play this board game now. I just don't want to sink as much money into it as because it's expensive as hell if you want to get
if you're
everything.
getting everything, yeah.
Yeah. So I just was like, I'll just play yours or something, or buy yours off of you and you sell it if you don't
Yeah,
like
if it sucks.
it.
Awakened Realms, I've sold very little. I
Yeah.
think the wall, not the wall. There, the Great Wall. Yeah, yeah. I did not like that one. I think that's the only Awakened Realms game I've gotten rid of. Oh, and Otherfields.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they really hit the nail on the head for me.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Um,
the video game solely is what gets me interested in this because the video game is so damn cool.
yeah. Is it, because I know it's Stalker 2, is it connected to the first one at all? Do you
I
know?
never played the first one
Okay.
because there was such a long span between the first one and Stalker
Yeah,
2. I don't know. So I think you don't need to have played the first one to enjoy the
probably
second one
not. I don't think
because
any of the Metro games connect either.
yeah, because
They
jumping
might.
into Stalker 2, it doesn't really. I mean, you can just start off and it doesn't really pull into the old stuff. I'm sure
Okay.
there's stuff that you notice if you played both,
Probably.
but yeah. But no, this is my number 10 Stalker. It looks like it'll be a very in depth because any of the videos I have watched briefly on this game, it seems like a pretty complex system and stuff.
You
So
think? Because the playthrough I just watched, it seemed relatively straightforward. Like I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, all that makes sense to me. So what's really cool is they have like these different types of anomalies that will affect the board state and
right.
stuff. So it looks like it'll be a super fun time.
Yep. Yep. Can't wait till you get it.
Yeah, I know, me too. It'll be next year because I did split shipping. So my number 9, this is finally a game that is different from all the other ones, and it shot up pretty high because the designer of this has only done one game that I've played. But again, I have watched a playthrough of this, and it does look like it could be super fun. And it's a theme that is not done anywhere else. So my number 9 is Pixels and Polygons. This is a
Interesting.
game about video game development. So it's from the designer that did Assault on Doomrock, which was like a roguelike, very um, like streamlined combat system. So he's kind of going in a completely different direction, but the way that this game kind of works, it feels all the actions and things that you're doing are thematic. Um, and I'm just really intrigued. Like I like the idea. I mean, the video games you're designing, the art and stuff that they have for it are very meta about the industry. The fact that you could release like there's ways you can release a game that has a shit ton of bugs and you can update it and patch it later to try and get like a quick buck or
Right.
you can work on it and really refine it, but like only release a few games a year. Um, looks complete. I mean the board, that's pretty much it. Looks very simplistic, but I think this could be one of those games that has a lot more rich depth to it because of the theme.
Yeah.
And because I've been playing a lot more video games lately, I just think this will be a really fun one. So not really chalking it up to like great designer or great publisher, but I think this could be one of those just board games that are like, hey, there's not another video game.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's the uniqueness of theme is what sells this one,
Yeah.
I think. You know.
Yep. And that's exactly it. So I think it'll be a good time. I think it'll be fun.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
my number 9 is another crossover. So this is our third crossover. And
Technically fourth because unless this is Final Girl.
oh no. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's not Final
technically.
Girl. So
All right.
this is the third one we've talked about. How about that?
Okay.
And that is Into the God's Grave.
Okay. Maybe
Um,
you know more about it because it's number 9 for you.
I just like, I mean, it's not that I know a whole lot about it. It's just that, you combine, because Lucky Duck and what we talked about earlier, how I think, I think they've kind of learned from their Destinies thing, because it doesn't seem like, because like this one, just in watching any of the videos I've seen, it's not gonna have that stupid aspect of Destinies where um, one person could be getting this information and somebody clear on the other side of the map can finish the
Yeah, can finish the
mission or
mission.
whatever.
God.
This one doesn't seem that like it has that way, and it has. This one seems like because it's a grittier world, it seems more fantasy based than Destiny's, even because
Hmm.
Destiny's, that was their first foray into like a fantasy game using the app and stuff like that. I'm hoping that they've learned from that. This one looks like it has a lot better. Um, I don't know. The design just looks better, and having those aspects we talked about with the other one is like combining your class and your lineage determines your starting deck. I mean, that's depending on how many lineages they have. Shit, I mean, you could have all kinds of cool combinations and stuff. And the art on this looks top notch.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that I trust that because they're really taking their time with this one because this one was supposed to come out last year or this
Yeah.
year. And I don't think we're going to get it until,
I think they're super involved in like a bunch of app stuff for other
Mhm.
companies, so they're probably like spread too thin because they have Dark Quarter, they have this one. I mean, those app games, if they're as integrated as we know Lucky Duck can be, um,
Well, we got
then
the latest update we got from this talked about that, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be getting to us until like late first quarter, maybe or something
oh,
like
okay.
that. But so I mean, it's getting there. But yeah, I mean, this one's just it just looks like it's going to be a really cool one. And when I got on that their crowdfunding page and scrolled down to just the art was just what caught me, and everything looked really neat.
Hmm.
Miniatures looked sweet. It just I'm taking it that they learned their lesson,
Here's hoping.
stuff. So we'll see.
All right. My number 8 is actually a continuation of a long-running series that I've done on the channel, and this was actually I know this was on my list last year, and they've completely pushed it back. In fact, I got an update for it that felt like it's like, man, you're not anywhere close to actually releasing these. It will be next year though. So my number 8 is Madara, Unintentional Malum Act 2 and 3. They are releasing both at the same time because Act 2 seems like it's kind of a bridge between the two acts. And from what they've said, Act 2 and 3 will be as large as Act 1 combined, which is slightly disappointing because I do like the narration of Madara. I love this world. In fact, the only reason I'm is still into it is because I think the story and the world is so enriching if you like JRPGs. But it's funny because with Madara, the more campaign games I play, the more I extremely appreciate their character builds because it's really like it can be complex, but like whenever you and I came from Primal and it's like, hey, here are all these items, you can only have one,
Yeah,
and
I
it's like,
know.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
uh here it's just like I mean, and I play with my friend Devin, and we control 2 characters, and it's a lot. Like there's a lot of stuff that you have on one character, but the builds, all the stuff that they're adding that's new to Act 2 and 3 of new like sorceries that you can cast, new builds, new items, new locations. I'm excited to jump back into the story. The combat is a lot of fun, but it is very swingy, which is why I can't play it too much because I start to get really mad. But and their boss fights are atrocious. Hopefully, it looks like they've enhanced the bosses in Acts 2 and 3. But yeah, I'm very excited that to have this delivered. Um, so yeah, it's I mean, if you like Madara, then Act 2 and 3, this was a no-brainer of being on the anticipated list. Now here's what I'm not anticipating. This is probably going to come out whenever I'm in the middle of another campaign, and these rules are so in depth and finicky that it's like I can't jump back and forth. So, but that's going to be said for the rest of my top 10, honestly.
Probably, yeah.
So, yeah, that's my number 8, Madara.
All right, my number 8 is a game that when I saw the ads for this, I immediately jumped on because I like the theme of this game. It's a medium weight Euro, and it has an interesting little gimmick that I think is going to be kind of cool with this, and that is Tamari. I think that's how you say it. But
It's Tamarai.
okay,
No, I don't know.
I have no idea. But pretty much what you're doing in this game is you're kind of experiencing living in ancient Egypt. So you are, there's agriculture, all this weather cycles play a big part in this game.
I'm just cracking up because I'm like, here's this high fantasy Japanese RPG story driven game, and you're like, here's a guy in a wheat field in Egypt.
Yes, I told you, man. Medium weight Euros are kind of hitting different for me, nowadays. But this one, the intriguing aspect of this game was the pyramid in the center, because
oh yeah, did you show me this game?
Yes.
Did you talk about this one? Okay.
I did at some point. Can't remember what we were. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah.
But this one has the marbles that you drop into the tower. There's different colors. And they're going to travel down. So what you do is you, depending on what balls fall in what sector, because it looks like the rivers kind of bisect. That's the weather. So that determines what you can do in each of those sectors, depending on how much water they get, or if they're in drought, if they got, there's all these different aspects. So it determines how much farming you can do. But you also have your resource management. There's a tableau building aspect to the game, set collection, worker placement, engine building. It's got a lot of stuff in it, and it doesn't look like it takes up a ton of space. Like the board's not huge, and stuff like that. So, I I like these kind of games. Like we've played, I don't know, some other game. Like when you talk about Zulkin and stuff like that, where you have the interesting aspect is the gears. This one's the pyramid that's going to shoot stuff down, and that determines everything. And it's just one of those things. I think a lot of times these gimmicks that come into these games are kind of goofy, and they're put in there but I think this one really serves a purpose, and that's what makes me think it's gonna be really neat. Plus it wasn't super expensive to back. And I don't think they've really done a whole lot of games, these designers. I don't know, I'm not gonna deep dive into them, but all the videos and everything I've watched from this game just makes it look like it's gonna be one of those that's gonna be really fun to get to the table and play.
Not Tim, right? P.S. Martin's looks like he's done a few games. None. Gateway Island is the only one that I recognize, and the other guy has not done anything. Tommaso Alessono.
Yeah, and then so the company really hasn't. I mean, they've done a few things, but it's like They're basically Euro type stuff. It looks
Yeah.
like, but it's just one of those. I really think this one's going to be an interesting and unique enough one to get to the table just to see how that whole weather aspect plays out, and stuff, and see how it goes. I mean,
Cool.
yeah.
I'll be excited to give it a shot. My number 7. This is a game that was by the company that I was thinking of earlier. It'll make sense in a few seconds when I quit doing this preamble. And if you wouldn't believe it, it is a narrative-driven campaign game. But it's also a boss battler. So really cool theme. Very excited for this one as well, and that is Dante Inferno. It's by Creative Game Studio, and the game that I had sold you was Chronicles of Drunagor. That was the game that I was thinking of. But yeah, so this one is based around the Divine Comedy poem about Dante, and I have seen a playthrough of this, and it kind of has the two phases: the exploration phase of actually going through the map and making decisions and exploring, and then you come to the boss fight, and this is the one where I think they're fighting King Midas. I think that was like the tutorial one that was sent out. But they use these tarot cards as well to kind of instigate how combat works, the positioning of how the monster moves, and because I think the monster moves on those big circles and everyone else moves in those little triangle areas. But I love the theme. I actually had to read and do a report on this in high school.
Yeah.
So it's such a unique theme to do a exploration boss battler on. And so I hope the writing is really good. I didn't dive too much into Chronicles of Drunagor to judge kind of their writing capabilities. Because I ended up giving you Chronicles because I just have too many campaign games.
Yes.
And with, like I said, boss battlers are where it's at. That's that the buzzword that will be on any game, and I'm just like, like, hey, oh man, hey baby, how you doing? And I'll check it out. So it's hopefully it's super good.
Well,
We shall see.
This one has intrigued me. I went back and forth on it a few times. You can still late pledge for it, but it's like $400. I'm just like, oh gosh,
Yeah, it is.
It's expensive, but this is
is
just after I dropped, 420 or whatever on the new
on the shipping for Odilon.
Oh God, I haven't paid the $100 shipping for that yet. Good God.
I know.
I forgot how much crap you get with it with the all in though. There's so much coming with that.
Look at all the crap. Tenare's everything is 1,000.
Yeah.
So there's these campaign games aren't cheap, but yeah, this one again, I love the boss battler genre, and if it's tied in with story driven exploration, narrative campaigns, then I'm all in. So that's my number 7, Dante Inferno.
Perfect. I'll just play yours. I don't need to spend 400. Yeah.
That's true.
All right. My number 7, I predict will be a crossover.
I'm gonna start charging you a fee every time you play one of my campaign games.
We really need to since we live close to each other now, we actually need to not buy the same game.
Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about we should start scissoring.
No,
okay.
No.
I mean,
yeah. So anyway,
yeah, we really should, because that's what I started doing up in Kansas City. I quit. I was like, oh, you guys all own this game? I'm okay. I don't need it. And then I moved. So then it's like, well, crap. But yeah, I agree. There's no need for us to own the same massive campaign game when you and I are probably going to be the only ones playing it together.
Anyway, so we both, I think we both went all in on this campaign because we talked about it when it was.
Dude, I don't really like campaign games, so I doubt it.
Yeah, and this was another Awakened Realms game. So I never really owned a whole lot of Awakened Realms, but I'm starting to get a little more into them.
Until I met you.
Well, no, it's just like their themes were always, because I tried, their earlier ones, and it was like fine stuff, but like these last few, like this one, we talked about your Robomon earlier being a Pokemon deal. This is another one that kind of loosely has that similar kind of thing, and that's Dragon Eclipse. This one I went all in on, of course.
I also have another friend who also went all in on this too, all because of me.
Yeah, I know. You need to start getting like Awakened Realms, like whatever.
Yeah, they
that's
need to
called.
start royalty checks.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
royalties,
little
yeah.
commission. Like, you got two people who bought your game because of me.
You need to get them to sponsor your podcast, your video, your station.
That'd be pretty cool.
So anyway, yeah, this is it's 1 to 2 players, and you're just, it's dragons. I mean, dragons are cool. There's all kinds of different neat versions of them throughout this whole campaign that you do, and you're training them or gaining. I don't know what the terminology is. If you're training them or you're not really capturing them. I think you're just like.
I think you are. I think you are capturing them.
Okay. I know you're getting them and you train them up to be like.
Because all the dragons have like capture conditions on the back of their card, so you have to do certain things to be able to get them to like you, I guess.
But there's just so much with this game. I mean, there was just so many. They just kept unlocking more shit, more shit, more shit, and more cool looking dragons, and the card art is just bonkers when you start looking at the stuff, and it looks like it's kind of a smaller footprint deal for what it is. I don't know.
I think it's one of those kind of like with Robomon, what we just saw with that, where you have I think it's a storybook, like it's a booklet of the areas you go to and the stuff you explore, and then when you go into combat to capture stuff, you go to this map.
Yeah, and I just remember getting on this page when it was on crowdfunding, and it was one of those that your jaw just kind of drops as you're going through it, because it's like, damn, this looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And so it's not like super heavy either. It's kind of that mid range again, which is another thing, because some of Awakened Realms games scared me off because they almost are too complex. So it's like these.
I don't know, man. Now that I've played Aeon Trespass, like I look at Awakened Realms games, I'm like, is this made for babies?
No, that's true. I mean, but this mid-weight, like if you use the BGG, anywhere from like 2 to 3 is kind of a good range, and this one's 2.5.
Okay.
Even though it's not out yet, so I don't know how much weight you can put.
This
to that,
one is right around the corner, though.
It is. It's getting close. So I'm really excited to get this one played. And just, this will be my Pokemon game of the year.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Good pick. Good pick.
They should have put a Charmander ripoff in this, like.
There probably is, dude. Like there probably is. I'd be very surprised if there was not a Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard dragon. Although technically, oh wait, is it? I don't think Charizard's not dragon type in Pokemon. I don't think, unless they've changed that since. And I haven't played Pokemon in like many years.
Never played Pokemon. I don't.
What a depressing childhood you had.
My nephew does. I've been buying a bunch of stuff for him, but I don't ever play it.
All right. My number 6 is a narrative-driven campaign game boss battler. That is also by Awakened Realms. Because they have like this it's almost like Nintendo Direct or the Game Awards for board games, where they do like an Awakened Realms show where they kind of talk about what they're working on. And as soon as I saw the cover, I was like, yeah, I'm probably in on this one. And lo and behold, I am in on this one. It is did it show? Grim Coven. Oh my god, this cover just makes me horny. It gives me such Bloodborne vibes.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you are witch hunters in this, and it's a boss battler. But what's different about this one is, again, it's not one of those, kind of like how Blood kind of looked, even though I'm less familiar on Blood. This one is a lot more. There is a boss that you fight, but you're doing a lot of the stuff up until that boss. So again, it's not like Oathsworn where you have like a story section and then you go into the like here's the boss, boom, like now you're fighting it. The whole map, cool.
She did say
Right.
it was hard to find some pictures of some of
That's fair.
these. That yeah.
I mean, still, I was hoping at least for the map, but that's fine. Um, from what I've watched, you're actually going around and doing stuff, almost like Eldritch Horror, where you're stopping things from happening, trying to get yourself more powerful enough to be able to take on the boss. And it's Awakened Realms, so the minis are sexy as hell. Um, the different characters, like I am very intrigued by how they're gonna work. And I'm just curious on the synergy between characters and how combat overall feels. Because I mean, with any boss battler, the combat has to work for it to. You can't just be like, as we saw with Madara, most like 90% of that game is exquisite, but their boss fights just fucking suck. And here, like, I'm hoping that it's going to be just as good. But really, it's Awakened Realms. They're probably my favorite publisher if I really had to think about it. Um, and the theming is amazing because it's Bloodborne, but witches is the vibe I'm getting. So yeah, I'm incredibly intrigued by how this one is going to work. So that's my number six, Grim Coven.
All right, my number 6 is a game from a company that you don't necessarily like.
Cool.
And I'm not a huge fan of this company either, but I like this. I like this IP so much that this game's based on, and it's a tableau building game as well, and that is Witcher Path of Destiny.
Dude, what are you talking about? Go on board has made banger after banger.
I mean, the only one of theirs that I like enough is the Valhalla, but other than that,
Yeah,
like I didn't,
the
I
only
never
one of
did
theirs
play The
that I kind of
Witcher.
like is The Witcher.
Yeah,
It's
see, I
their other
never did
one.
play that one, but this one is interesting because you're actually playing the characters from the video game. You're going to choose some of these characters and you're going to go through. There's 3 storylines from the video games that you're actually going to play through, but the actions you take could change the story, so the ending may be completely different
Okay.
than what it is. But you are going through and doing all that stuff. You're drafting, you're playing action cards, doing all this different stuff. Oh god. So it's a lane, like it's a very narrow board, and the stuff up there at the top is like your mission story stuff, and you're going to be playing cards into that center and dealing with different um, encounters and stuff. There's going to be these different decks that are along with the stories. So there's the stories. There's the street. I don't know how familiar you are with the video game necessarily, but there was
I have very much played this video
okay.
game.
So there's the Striga story line.
Okay.
There's the Edge of the World, and then there's the Lesser Evil. Those are the 3 storylines that this has.
Yeah. I'm
Before
actually probably gearing up to replay this, honestly.
Oh, I am too, because when 4 comes
Oh,
out, 4 looks
oh
awesome.
God, that looks so good.
Yes, yes, I love the Witcher games, and
Yeah.
having Ciri as the main character is going to be badass.
Why is she so ugly? Why am I a fucking neckbeard virgin loser? Yeah, no, I'm fucking stoked.
Yeah, so this was just one of those. I've been looking for a good Witcher game. Like I didn't do the other one because it didn't have like the characters I knew in it. That's why I didn't
Yeah.
really show it. This one has all the characters, the mainstream characters everybody knows, and having the tableau building. It's not just like dudes on a map fighting all the time. It's actually
Yeah,
got
it's not
some
like
card
it's
play.
not a solo game where where other people are playing.
Right. So, and this one can be played. You can play this one solo as well.
Yeah.
So this is just one and I went big in on this too. So there's a lot of stuff coming for this, and it's not too far out. But yeah, I mean this this could easily be my favorite game from that company. I mean, like I said, Valhalla is their best in my opinion, and that's about middling. So
Yeah,
this
and
can
that's
get,
about like 5 out of 10. Yeah, I don't think this company or Lucas makes shitty games.
yeah,
He just makes weird decisions in his games. For me, for my personal taste, like The Witcher, I thought was about a 7. But
right.
it's like, why do you do this? Why is this in this game? Um, but yeah, I'm excited to give it a try though.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
know probably how my feelings are going to be. I'll be like, yeah, all right, there it is.
It,
All right. So my number 5 is a crossover, and between your list and my list, we have had 3 Awakened Realms games back to back.
awesome.
So my number 5, if you can guess, is
Oh,
Dragon Eclipse.
there we
Yeah,
go.
2 Pokemon games in my anticipate. It's weird that. Here's the thing. I think Awakened Realms might be able to go to court with Nintendo. The other guy, he's fucked. Like,
Yeah.
um, but Awakened Realms, they have some of the best writing in the industry, and I mean, just this cover is gorgeous. The art is gorgeous. I'm excited for the, like you said, smaller footprint, but the fact that you actually have dragons that you can have in your, Dragon Balls. I hope that's what they call them.
It's
Instead of
Dragon Balls.
Pokeballs, it's Dragon Balls. Um, they I laughed at my own joke. I'm such a loser. Um, but they have conditions that you have to meet to be able to capture them, which I think is very neat. I think it's like the combat seems almost like it's going to be a lot more puzzly than pure just trying to beat the shit out of them. So it's going to be cool. And you said this was just one or two player, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what it says on BGG.
Cool. So that'll be a lot more manageable
Yeah.
to play. Even though most campaign games, I would never play max player count anyway.
No.
Uh, so yeah, extremely excited for this one. Out of all of these that are on this list, actually, there's one more that I think is right around the corner too. But this one is, I think, January or February.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So that's my number 5, Dragon Eclipse.
My number 5 is another crossover.
Hey, I think it's our 5th one. So
Fifth.
we gotta stop right here. Although I know we're having one more, so you might be close with 7. Final Girl, I'd imagine, or
No.
Dark Quarter.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one I went from not backing it to being very excited for this game just because I mean, like I said earlier, Van Ryder. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason. It's not Lucky Duck that's pulling me into this. It's the Van Ryder collaboration, since they're taking all the writing into it because they are some of the best horror. Right? Yeah, I know.
Dude, it's her. It's 1,000,000% her. And if she's a singer in this story, that'd be even funnier.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean that for everything we talked about earlier. I mean, this is going to be there. I'm hyped for this one. I hope it doesn't let me down, but I think the strong point of this will be the writing. If there's anything that lets me down on this, it's going to be maybe some of the
Yeah,
mechanics and
I
stuff.
think I think you hit the nail on the head by saying Van Ryder knows horror,
Yeah,
obviously with Final Girl. So again, that M rating could be very revolutionary because yeah, there's this war of mine, and there are narrative games that have dark themes, but none of them are ever like, hey, this is for adults. So like, I don't want something to just happen because it's shock value.
right.
It's like it has to be done tastefully. You can have those. That's why I'm saying 7. What happens in 7, if you've ever seen the movie, it's not great to a lot of people. But it's a fantastic movie.
Yep,
So yeah, I agree.
that's
Okay.
all I have to say about
So
it.
not counting yours, if we skip this, we will have 4 Awakened Realms games in a row. 2 or
Jeez.
3 actually, technically.
I'm
So
done
this
with
was
Awaken
another
Realms
one.
now. The
You're
rest of the
done?
way. Yeah, I don't have any more Awaken
All
Realms.
right. This is my last Awakened Realms one. This was also a game that they announced in their Awakened Realms show, where it was Dragon Eclipse in that one? I can't remember. I know for sure Grim Coven was, but this one I need to look up because I think it just ended as well, and I don't keep up with pledge updates. I usually just back the game and then wait for it to be delivered. But my number four is Lands of Evershade. So one artwork is amazing. Watch, we're gonna find out that all of these are AI. It's all AI art, which would be so disappointing. Um, but they are calling this a hybrid RPG board game experience. Players enjoy grand, richly narrated open world adventures without a dungeon master while keeping the game approachable and easy to learn. So, from my understanding, this is as close as we would ever get to a D&D TTRPG as a board game because I know the character creation is like you would oh god, I'm dying. Like you would create a character in D&D. You like pick your class, you pick your race, you pick your feats, armor and stuff, and then you go out into a game. Um, in terms of overall mechanisms, I actually don't know much. I know it's an open world exploration game, but I don't know how combat works. And all that is out there. I know I could go find it. I'm just basically like, here's money, and then I'm like side eyeing like the economy. Oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be spending this. But it's, I mean, just the boards look really cool. Like if all of those cards on the right are your feats and your abilities on top of the inventory, if you have inventory management where positioning of maybe armor or where your weapons at actually matters. It looks like combat is dice driven, but I don't know. I don't know how the open world aspect is going to work. I don't know if it's a booklet or if it looks like it's these sheets of locations. I don't know how narrative driven it is. But if they're saying that it's a hybrid RPG board game, that seems pretty hot. Like Lands of Evershade is more than a game, it's a universe built over many years, a world of secrets buried in the shadow of the goddess Luada that will grow and expand with new content for years to come. So, more content for a narrative driven game that I have 18 of on this list?
Jeez. Yeah.
Yes, please. I might as well just sell every game that's not a campaign game. Just be like, I don't need these. Like, I'll just play my campaign games over and over. But yes, this was another one that the same friend who did Dragon Eclipse, he also got this one.
Yeah. I
So
thought about it for a little bit, but I didn't.
if there was any game that I'd expect you to hop on, it'd be this one for the tabletop RPG
I
solo.
I don't know. I mean, it looks really good and everything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't.
Start by because I know
Yeah.
they have a player's handbook as like a D&D where it's like, hey, here's how you make your character because it says start by building your perfect character using an immersive player's handbook. Choose from unique races and origins, dark secrets, and exciting classes. So, and I actually did look at the races and they look very unique. So, um, like a friend of mine was like, "Oh, which class are you going to be, or which race are you going to be?" So it's already getting that tabletop RPG vibe. Um, and I mean, if it's a world that they've spent years creating, then I imagine it'll be good.
Yeah.
That's my number four, Lands of Evershade.
All right. My number four is another crossover.
I can't remember. Is that six? This has to be Final Girl.
Yep, it
All
is.
right.
Not really much more to say on this. I mean, that we didn't already talk about. It's just more of the great stuff that they have, and being a solo guy, I this is probably my favorite, fully solo game. Like I play cooperative games solo, and it may not be higher, but that's dedicated for just solo. This is probably my best one.
Mhm.
There's just so many combinations. There's just so much stuff going on with it.
It's so thematic too.
It is.
Like it doesn't
Yeah.
look like it would be. This does not look thematic at all. But the tidbits of terror and events that show up and the way that the monsters work in the locations, it is very thematic.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, with Van Ryder and everything too, it's just, yeah, I mean, if there isn't much more to say, it's just more
Yeah.
of a good thing, and we'll see what they can come up with and everything. I'm curious to see what because their first two Ultimate boxes, there was a VCR and a DVD player. I'm trying to figure out if this one's gonna be Blu-ray or
Was the second
like,
one a DVD player?
yeah.
Oh, I did not recognize that. I thought they were both VCRs. Okay, yeah. What would that? It'd be Blu-ray, and then it's just a TV for streaming and
Yeah,
internet
streaming
cable.
platform.
It's
Yeah.
the fourth one.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's my number 4, Final Girl.
Cool.
It's always good.
Sorry,
You're good.
my number 3 this is the other one that's right around the corner. There is no way it is not your number 1.
You
Like
don't
a
know
million
me.
percent. Dude, you buy games from this company just cuz. My
Oh,
number 3 is yeah, is Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Um,
I
the only
forgot about
reason
this
this
one.
is oh, you forgot? Yeah, yeah, I'm sure you did. Um, yeah, this one I'm so excited for because this feels like they took Elder Scrolls Online and just actually made it into the narrative experience of a board game. I know ESO is also narrative, but like it doesn't feel the same as like a Skyrim or an Oblivion because in this you have all the locations that you can go to, tons of quests you can go on, the character building of the what pretty much it's an RPG. Hey, what character do you want to build and play based off the class and the stats that you pick? Um, Following their kind of too many bones style of combat that I actually did get to see this at Gen Con this year, and I got to kind of talk to one of the workers there. And yeah, has a lot of Too Many Bones DNA in it, just enhanced a little bit more. I don't know if this is, do you know if this is a full-fledged campaign or is it kind of,
I think it's a full
yeah,
thing.
I thought so
Yeah.
too, but because I wouldn't call Too Many Bones a campaign game either, but it
No.
kind of has one. I didn't know. I think it's supposed to be very succinct. Like you do a couple
Mhm.
things and then you kind of pack it up. I don't think it's like the other 5 games I've talked about. Um, but I don't want to talk about it too much because we're definitely talking about it in a couple. If it's not your number 1, then if you actually forgot about it, that would be hilarious. Um, but yeah, Chip Theory games. This is the big one that we've been waiting on that I'm very excited for. So that's my number 3.
Yep. Good choice. My number 3, I thought was going to be on your list, but I don't know if it was going to be this high. So maybe you just didn't put it on. I don't know. But this is one we've talked about on this list. It's getting brought up. This one, for some stupid reason, I don't know why, but going $500 in on a Game Found project for a game I know nothing about, and then having to worry about just finding out a few days ago that we have to pay $100 in shipping. But this one is Odalin Dungeons of Doom.
So
Yes.
it was number 33.
Okay.
So it wasn't even close. I mean, I guess it was close to the top 20. But I'm amazed this is number 3 for you. Here's why. I back this because it's Dragori Games and I like Tenares quite a bit. I don't fucking remember anything about this game.
Well, let me enlighten you because there's some cool things about this game that made me excited. Makes me excited for this. It's a dungeon crawler, right? I mean, that's pretty much what you're doing. But what's really neat with this is your characters. There's all these unique characters, right? But you actually you can make a pact with the demon lord and like fuse with the demon and combine powers to do different stuff. So like you have like a demon almost on your shoulder the whole time, and you can like merge and then battle with them and have all these extra powers. And it also there's also a lot of dice mitigation in this, which is also nice. And then there's just like there's these decisions that come up throughout the game, these moral dilemmas, we'll call them, that will change how the campaign turns out. So like you're actually making decisions as you go through this as well.
Okay.
The miniatures look crazy. I mean, that's Dragori Games. They do good with miniatures and stuff. But
Oh yeah.
I really like the aspect of the whole demon thing was what was really cool to me because I've watched some playthroughs on this and like your heroes battling through, and then all of a sudden you get to this tough part, and you're just like you just take the you fuse with your
Oh
demon,
jeez.
and then you like become like this super. You combine your powers and you do all this badass shit,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. It's just it just is really neat looking, and then there's just so much coming out for this game
Oh, I
at
know.
once. It's
I know.
nuts. And I mean, I guess $100 in shipping isn't bad when you look at all the crap that's coming. But but
I
yeah,
don't
this
know.
one
That's a tough pill to swallow
it is, but
after
it's
the
like
fact.
a lot of games now I've been paying 40, $50 and it's just a
Yeah, that's true.
couple boxes. So with all the stuff, I mean I can kind of little bit
Yeah,
rationalize it, but
I'm intrigued on because I was looking at it because you said dungeon crawl, and then I was like, oh yeah, that is what it is. But then, like you said at the bottom, it says make tough choices, including moral dilemma, and shape the campaign. Your choices will shape the world and determine the ending. It's like, oh, so it is a campaign game. So
it
I'm
is.
curious how the overall stuff is going to interact with the dungeon crawl
Well,
portion.
because there's books. So like in this picture,
Yeah,
there's spiral bound books that you're going to be going through, and this is just two of the boxes. So like
yeah,
this isn't all. I mean, even a fraction of everything that is coming, but this one, like I said, the thing that sold me on this was the whole demon aspect
hmm,
because you gain stuff like you can't just automatically say, hey, I'm just going to fuse with my demon. You have to like through killing other things and doing things, you gain the ability to be able to summon him into you, and then and then that goes away when you summon him, and then you have to build it back up. But so it's kind of
okay.
like a whole resource management thing too. But yeah, this one I'm very
Yeah,
excited
we
to
should we should
get
have
this one played.
communicated. One of us should own this. Now we
Yeah,
both will own
we're
it.
dropping $1,200 combined on this stupid thing. It's
I
like,
know. On top of literally my 20 games, I'm pretty sure 17 of them are campaign games.
yeah, yep. So anyway, that's
Um,
my number three, Odalin.
nice. All right, my number two. So there was another game that I actually forgot about, and I've actually played the tabletop simulator demo. And I think because I played that, I didn't think it was coming out next year, and it probably isn't. So maybe me missing it doesn't matter. But my number two is from a small up and coming company. I don't know if you've really heard about them, but my number two is Kingdoms Forlorn, Dragons, Devils, and Kings by Into the Unknown, same company that did Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Um, the game that I was talking about is Enormity. That's their latest Kickstarter that they've done. But that probably isn't even coming out because this game was supposed to come out this year, and actually it looks like February 2022. So they're already 3 years behind on this one. But hopefully 2025 is the year this comes out. Into the Unknown, I only have the experience with Aeon Trespass, but I mean, it's a masterpiece of a game in my opinion. This one has probably similar feels in their combat system. It's a boss battler, narrative driven campaign game. And I need to like do an acronym. Was it NDCG? Narrative driven campaign game. It's an NDCG. Uh, but you have these knights and stuff that all have their own personal goals, and I guess the narration is going to incorporate that and how they interact with one another. So, unlike ATO, where you're just Argonauts and there's the major story, this one feels like there's the major story, but then everyone has their own personal story. This one also includes similar exploration of various locations as well as mob combat. And unlike ATO, where it's very seeded big boss fights. This one actually has mobs that you have to fight, and then there's also the big bosses. Yeah, I mean, it was without a doubt gonna be super high up because I absolutely love ATO, and I actually rewatched playthrough of this just to be like, yeah, maybe like, do I really remember anything about this? And I was super stoked from watching that. I know they've made quite a few changes. They are actively working on it. The one thing Into the Unknown does really well is communication. Their updates are books. It's like, geez, like I don't want to read all that. Just tell me if my game's coming or not.
Hmm.
But I know this is actually on Tabletop Simulator, so keep an eye out for that because I might end up playing that just to get a taste, just scratch that itch. But yeah, that's my number 2, Kingdoms Forlorn.
All right. My number 2 is the one I was mainly talking about earlier at the very beginning when I said I have standalones that could be expansions. Like, it's the whole deal. And the chances of this coming out this year, take it for what it's worth. This company usually runs late, but I mean, it says 2025, so fingers crossed. And that is the Shadows of Brimstone, the Lost Tombs of Kamuntet, and the Impossible Hell Train.
I didn't even know they were still making content for this game.
Oh God, they are. This is their moneymaker.
That's true.
They've even gotten. They're even talking about stuff after these. So, and this stuff is, these hit on a couple of themes that are going to be really fun because the Hell Train's always been something that.
Yeah, Hell Train looks super fun.
Well, and it's always been something like the very first campaign. That was their $1 million deal, was the Hell Train, and it didn't reach it. And then it's just been kind of sitting back in production and not coming out for a while. And then they finally decided to add it to this. So people are really jumping on this. The Lost Tombs brings in Egypt, which we haven't had in this whole deal. There's all these other worlds, but now we have the Egypt aspects, all these really cool Egyptian monsters and everything.
Now, is the Lost Tombs, is that kind of like the City of Ancients or the Swamps of Death? Is it like that?
Yeah, it's one of those boxes like those, yeah. So it'll be a
City
box
of
like
Ancients
that.
not Egypt? No, I guess it was like Mayan or something, right? It was like Aztec, something like that.
Yep. So yeah, these two are standalone, combined, all that stuff. I don't have a gameplay picture of this because there's not gameplay pictures. There's just
they don't even have gameplay pictures of it. They're hand drawn things on 7x11 copy paper, probably.
Right. So anyway, but these still one of my favorite games. Once I get my basement finished and I can have a dedicated area to have this stuff set out, then it'll get played a lot more. But I love putting the miniatures together. I love all the crazy stories that these games tell when you get through and play them. And
yeah, this is, if there's any series I want to do on my channel, it's this one. Like, I mean, I'm not spending the money on it.
Oh God, no! I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on this game.
I took the time to add up everything you can buy off their web store. Wasn't it like $7,000 or something?
At least, yeah.
And you were like, yeah, that's like,
and that's not even everything yet. Yeah.
I'm like, oh dear God, it's so expensive.
There's still stuff that's from the second campaign, the one at the the third campaign that come with the adventures.
Yeah.
There's still stuff coming in a wave 3 from that hasn't even. So
I mean, they must not be making them that much money if they're so delayed on all this stuff.
No, all their campaigns make them millions, and they just kind of, I don't know, but yeah, this one is what it is. I mean, Brimstone is this company's Flying Frog Games, or Flying Frog Productions, sorry. It's their big moneymaker thing, and the Hell Train's really neat because the boards lay out like the train, of course. I mean, obviously, but the monsters are really unique on it and stuff, and the characters are cool, and you can actually ride horses in that box. Like, so there's a new added horse riding element. So there's miniatures where you can have your character, and then there's another set that has them on a horse that you put together. So depending on what you're doing, but
it's so wacky. Maybe one of these days you guys will get to see a fun Shadows of Brimstone campaign.
Oh yeah.
If Brad didn't want to be lazy and just carry
paying these damn kids through college,
that's true. It'll all pay off. Eventually they'll make enough money to where they can fund your Shadows of Brimstone
there you go.
collection.
Yep.
All right. And finally, our number one anticipated game for 2025, which mine is probably not coming out in 2025. Do you have any guess?
I it's a narrative campaign
It's an
game.
NDCG.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
You
know.
would be correct.
There's so many coming out. I mean,
I know.
I don't, you know.
These are all the ones that I'm aware of. Actually, funny enough, let me look at the ones that didn't make it. One, two, three, four. Okay, I only have four more on my other, like all the other games that I didn't consider that were campaigns. All the ones that weren't campaigns were we didn't talk about. Um, this is the one that it is standalone. It's actually not even an expansion that I'm aware of. My number one is Aeon Trespass, the 12 Sins of Heracles. Here's the thing. I love ATO. Like I said, I consider it a masterpiece of a game. I'm getting everything for this, and I just finally got all my stuff for the first wave, cycles 4 and 5, and all the extra stuff. Like it's actually sitting in the box next to me. Um, Cycle 1 took me over a year to do, and me and Devin to play. This is just more of Aeon Trespass with four, because this is the summer box, but they have a box for every single season on top of mini campaigns and side connecting campaigns. It's just I don't even know if she has a picture for it, so we might. She
Oh, it looks
does.
like a
Oh, this is off
TT
of off of
tabletop.
Tabletop Simulator. So which is cool. I'm glad that it's actually on there. This is one of the I don't know how they do it. I don't know how Into the Unknown has done it with the amount of content that is in Aeon Trespass. The writing, being as exquisite as it is, being some of the best in the industry, it's pretty much right there with Awakened Realms. So it's more Aeon Trespass, just in different settings and different bosses and different stories to tell. So yeah, this probably isn't coming out next year. If anything, Kingdoms Forlorn is probably best, has better chances, but we shall see. It's slated for 2025. Here it is. It's more ATO.
I never did. Never have played this one yet.
It's so good. Apparently, it's on TTS, so you can you
Yeah.
can hop on that.
Well, I tried because I made that decision because I was trying to decide Oathsworn or Aeon Trespass,
Oh yeah,
and I think I went Oathsworn because it was a little easier to get into. I think.
it is significantly easier to get into, and it's cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Oathsworn's fantastic. If there was any news on that, it would be on this list.
Yep.
Your number one is Elder Scrolls.
How do you know?
What?
Um,
Yeah, come on. That would make it
well,
our seventh crossover, though.
so yeah. So this game, I mean, my favorite game of all time, our top 100 last year, was Too Many Bones. Too Many Bones has
Hmm.
been in my top five for years now. And they're pretty much done with Too Many Bones now, but they've used a lot of that system, like what you were saying, to throw it into this game and then add some more stuff on top of it as well. Um, and as I stated earlier in this deal, if it's chip theory games, I will own it. So this was a
Yeah,
perfect combination. I like the Elder Scrolls stuff. So you have that mixed in with the Too Many Bone stuff, mixed
it'll
in
be
with
a
new
nice
aspects, chip
breath of
theory.
fresh air because Elder Scrolls 6 is never coming out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. um, and and I don't know if you added them to your campaign, but they had the books, like the skill book things you could buy to put, because these things down here, there's like a book thing you can slide those into, and they're all for each race and stuff. It was something you could add on.
oh well, let me
Um,
take a good old
but
gander.
it keeps track of like your cards and stuff for like when your items and all that stuff. They're really neat. I added those onto it when the pledge manager came up, but yeah, I mean,
The deluxe adventure inventory.
yeah.
I did.
Uh,
I did.
but
I have the. Here's the thing about Chip Theory, though. They have some of the best quality in gaming, and their games are relatively cheap.
mhm. Well,
So I
and
guess they
that's
also
the other
they
thing.
don't have minis, which is why.
Yeah, but the thing I praise them for is like they always do the $10 flat shipping. Like
yeah,
that's
they
what
don't
do.
sideswipe us in the ass with a $100
Yeah.
shipping charge.
I just really like how they do things and how they run their
Yeah.
company and all that stuff, and their customer service is awesome. But that's neither here nor there. That's just the company. But yeah, I mean, this game, as soon as they announced this, I'm just like, oh yeah, big time. And with it coming soon, I need to hurry up and get through my Fate Forge stuff so I can play this when it comes out. So
yeah, this is definitely one we'll have to play together. It's pretty much right around the corner too.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yep.
Well, fantastic list, my good sir. That's it, everyone. That is our top 20 anticipated games of 2025. Here's hoping most of them deliver and are great as we're expecting them to be. But let us know what your anticipated games are. Let me know what you think of these games in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.